It's pretty obvious that here, at the TegernseerLand Natural Cheese Dairy, a great atmosphere and a healthy appetite go together extremely well. This harmony isn't just the result of the beautiful landscape of this region, but also, as in our case, the specialities of the house. This film tells the story of how they came into existence. The fact that the cows you meet in the meadows round here are so contented has a lot to do with the chief priority of the TegernseerLand Natural Cheese Dairy: enjoyment at the highest level. That doesn't just apply to keeping the guests happy, it also refers to the special food the animals are given. In the summer months, the basic food for milk cows and young cattle consists exclusively of fresh grass, and in winter there's tasty hay. Concentrated feed is only ever used very sparingly, and silage is intentionally dispensed with entirely. Special fertilizer guidelines and gentle care guarantee the profuse and luxuriant growth of grasses and herbs. The freshly mowed grass is never exposed to the vagaries of the weather, nor is it disturbed by being turned over far too often. Otherwise, a lot of nutrients and leaves would be lost. With a residual dampness of roughly 50%, the hay can already be brought in after 1 to 1.5 days. By means of the so-called condensation method, a special ventilation plant ensures that nutrient loss is minimized and that feed quality remains optimal. Thanks to hay drying by machines within 3 days, mold is avoided, especially during the rainy season. Dried grass is the healthiest food for the milk cows.
Es gibt ein gutes Ei.
Das riecht gut.
Ja, gut, gell, Regina?
Not too long ago, 21 dairy farmers from the Tegernsee Valley decided to form a cooperative called the TegernseerLand Natural Cheese Dairy. Its objective is to provide locals and tourists, as well as shops, hotels and restaurants, with direct access to high-quality products from the region. Just as we humans really enjoy the taste of food in a well-run hotel restaurant, cows always feel best inside a well-run stable. Not to be forgotten, gentle stroking to pamper them. The pressed grass pellets are not only a very nutritious food supplement, but also a very popular treat. And as far as cleanliness is concerned, it's the highest priority for everything in the stable, for the cattle as well as for all the technology. Now let's turn to the most important ingredient of our film, namely the healthiest and most valuable foodstuff supplied to us daily by cows: milk. In the old days, cows used to produce around 8 kilograms of milk a day. These days, a dairy cow produces around 19 kilograms. That adds up to roughly 7,000 litres a year. After only a short while, the raw milk is pumped out of the storage tank and into the transporter. The only milk to reach the tanks of these special vehicles comes exclusively from the agricultural hay milk farms that are members of the TegernseerLand Natural Cheese Dairy Cooperative. Of course, perfect hygiene also includes daily cleaning and disinfection of the entire installation and all the equipment. To work effectively, you need your strength. So our cows head out to pasture again, for one day, whatever the weather. Healthy milk from healthy cows. Exemplary livestock keeping and excellent nutrition are crucial. Here on the Reisenbichelweg in the municipality of Kreuther, right beside the main road, is where the hay milk reaches its destination for now, the TegernseerLand Natural Cheese Dairy, which was officially opened on September the 18th, 2010. The premises here cover an area of roughly 750 square meters, and in the course of a year, around 10 different types of cheese are made here, plus curd and yogurt made from hay milk. 5,000 litres a day flow into this copper vat. To guarantee a perfect bacteriological consistency, test samples are taken from the milk daily and analysed in a laboratory. Depending on the type of cheese, various different cultures are added to the raw milk. The climate control constantly ensures the right temperature and the right degree of humidity at different areas, in the production hall, in the basement rooms, and in all other departments. Documentation of the production process is just as essential. To make the raw milk curdle, rennet, produced from calf stomach enzymes, is added to it. Now the stirring tools are removed and replaced by the cutting knives of the so-called cheese harp. The job of the cheese harp is to cut the gel, that is, the gelatinous elastic mass the milk has now become, into tiny pieces, the curd. Here, the master cheesemaker is testing how much the gel has curdled, an important decision affecting the further progress of the cheese production. The master cheesemaker also decides on the timing when the cheese is cut. In other words, despite all the state-of-the-art production technology and electronic measuring devices, sure instincts and the expertise of a specialist are indispensable factors where hay milk cheese production is concerned. The duration of stirring, the size and consistency of the curd, and also the temperature determine the different cheese types. Here we see the master cheesemaker setting up the cheese molds for the press. These molds, for instance, are for Valberger Natur cheese. Via a pipeline, the curd is pumped into the individual molds of the cheese press. At high pressure, the whey is now pressed out of the dry matter. Everything always has to be checked and measured constantly. Here, for instance, the pH value is being determined. The cheeses, now firm and compact, are taken out of their mold, marked and prepared for the brine bath. This saltwater bath is where the cheese rind starts to form. Salt also penetrates the cheese here, contributing to the flavour. Just as in human life, the time during which a cheese matures has an important influence on character and quality. For the typical and unmistakable aroma to develop, a quiet phase, lasting days, weeks or even months, is necessary. Our viewers gain an interesting impression of the ripening cellar with a glance through the window in the background. The only times the cheeses are moved during this period is when they are turned over or when they are coated with brine or red smear. continuous treatment with salt water creates the dry, hard rind of the cheese. Around 40 tons of cheese are being stored in these rooms, at a temperature of 11 degrees and air humidity of 96%. The red smear, in contrast, gives the rind its waxy, half-soft quality. Its air permeability gives the cheese optimal preconditions for ripening. You can tell from the color shades, some powerful, some paler, just how far the ripening process has advanced. Producing and ripening cheeses of other types, such as soft cheese, takes a lot less time. Soft cheese, like this camembert here, lies in the brine for just 40 minutes. During storage, certain principles must not be overlooked. For instance, the rule about red smear cheeses and mold cheeses having to be stored separately. As soon as the cheese arrives in this department, the production flow has ended. We're in the logistics center at the dairy. This is where all the different types are packaged, labeled, commissioned and prepared for distribution and dispatch. Depending on the order, as already mentioned, the products go to foodstuff dealers and retail traders companies, as well as to restaurants and hotels. As far as the experience of tasting the cheese on the premises is concerned, the visitors to our natural cheese dairy are naturally warmly invited to do so. You can personally test out the cheese speciality of your choice in the tasting room and buy it in the dairy's own shop. Our friendly staff are on hand to help you when it comes to selecting, because there's a really broad range of delicious and irresistible offers. Anyone who feels like having a comfy picnic is quite welcome to take a seat outside in the open air. In the midst of the famous Tegernsee landscape, in fine weather, the terrace quickly becomes a really cozy and friendly place for locals and tourists, hikers, cyclists and strollers alike. Yes, and since the production of very special cheese varieties is a seasonal affair, the famous Quirinus Bockbier cheese is one such example, it's certainly worth dropping by to visit us several times a year to find out what the latest speciality is in the TegernseerLand Natural Cheese Dairy.